22 of Larry Millette's murder trial. Today on the stand, one of Maya's best friends. And after jurors left the courtroom, a testy exchange that involved one of Maya's relatives.
Mexico plays its final game of the group stage tonight in the World Cup. We're live with fans in Otay Ranch.
If you happen to still have a black trash bin, do not use it. Starting next week, trash will only be collected from these gray bins.
The deck of the USS Midway Museum was full of activity today, and it's all to help local military families. I'll explain.
Honoring every chapter of your pet's life, we meet the creator of
Heaven Sent Pets.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Marcella Lee.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
Right now, we are just moments away from Mexico's next World Cup match.
Mexico's already advanced to the knockout stage. They're now wrapping up their last group match against the Czechia. Our Alex Cheney, joins us live with more. Alex.
Yeah, hey there. I'm at Nova in Otay Ranch, where these fans are about to go crazy because Mexico is about to kick off for their final game of the stage. Take a look around this room here. We got all sorts of green going on, all sorts of Mexico fans having a great time. They are trying to get their team to win. They're having a great time out here. See all the fans. There is a big line wrapped all the way around the building. People have been waiting maybe about an hour to get in here. It was really difficult for many of these fans. They had some tables blocked off and trying to vamp so we can get to kickoff here. It's been a great time so far here in Otay Ranch as we are just moments away from the big kickoff. Here's more.
Not only because I'm Mexican, but because just the community and the vibe of it, it's really cool, and just seeing everybody together.
I went to the one on 3rd Avenue, and it's just crazy to see everyone coming out. I didn't think soccer was as popular in America.
I'm just excited for the vibes, for the people, and just everybody uniting. I don't know, I just think that's really cool, everybody coming together.
My first World Cup, being really into it.
I think it's beautiful to celebrate not just Mexico, what we represent, but to celebrate other worlds, other cultures. In such dark times, it's good to bring unity together and love and respect other people's cultures.
I'm Brazilian, and my wife's Mexican-American, so we're just excited to watch the game. Of course, there's rivalry here, but
it's super busy. It gets crazy packed. We can't even walk in between people.
We're actually trying to beat the crowd here, so got here early so we can get started with the Brazil game, and it's just exciting.
All right, it's going to be a big game tonight. A lot of these fans got here about 3 o'clock to get the best tables. This place is packed as they're trying to see Mexico go perfect in the group stage. World Cup fun continues. Back over to you guys.
Thanks, Alex. Day 22 of the Larry Millette murder trial, and the jury heard from one of Maya Millette's best friends.
She testified that Maya told her Larry had a, quote, scary temper. Our Steve Price has the details from court.
Courtney Nixon and Maya met at work and quickly became friends, such good friends that Maya shared with her details about her crumbling marriage. Jurors heard all about that today, but what they didn't hear is what happened right before lunch. Maya Millette's brother-in-law, Richard Droulet, left court Wednesday after being admonished by the judge, accused of flipping off Larry Millette during a break and making faces at him. The judge told him if it happens again, he'll be kicked out of court for the rest of the trial. Meanwhile, today on the stand, jurors heard from Courtney Nixon, one of Maya's best friends. She said they were very close, hung out at happy hours, the beach, and were part of a chat group called Work Besties 2.0. Courtney testified that starting around 2020, Maya confided in her about her deteriorating marriage. Maya brought up divorce, but worried about her kids and the effect it would have on them. They also had a lot of conversations over text and social media chats where Courtney told Maya that she needed to think about herself too, and that separating for several months could help rebuild the relationship. Courtney also testified that Maya felt smothered by Larry, that he accessed her passwords and read her private messages, even blocked some of her friends who he felt were sabotaging their relationship. It got so bad that her friends limited their messages, fearing Larry was reading them. She also testified that Maya felt Larry was controlling and calculated to force her to stay in their home and marriage, and that Maya was worried about Larry's reaction to divorce, saying, quote, "Larry does have a scary temper." Maya disappeared without a trace January 7, 2021, just days after she told family and friends that she planned to divorce Larry. The Chula Vista mother of 3 was last seen on a neighbor's surveillance camera and hasn't been seen since. Her body still hasn't been found. Chula Vista police arrested Larry Millette 9 months after Maya's disappearance. He's now on trial charged with first-degree murder. Also on the stand today, a forensic psychologist who talked about domestic violence and emotional abuse. Prosecutors say they should wrap up their case on Monday, then turn things over to the defense, which says they'll take about 4 or 5 days. Still not known, though, if Larry will be taking the stand. In Chula Vista, Steve Price, News 8.
Thank you, Steve. No cameras are allowed in the courtroom during the trial, but our News 8 reporters are there every day. You can stay up to date with the very latest from the trial online and on the go with our free CBS 8 streaming app. We have an update on a breaking news story that we first brought you last night.
San Diego police officers shot and killed a man after an hours-long standoff in the Cortez Hill neighborhood. Police tell us it started around 1 yesterday afternoon when a woman ran from her apartment on 6th Avenue, telling officers her son had just attacked her with a knife. By the time officers arrived, that man had barricaded himself inside and began throwing large objects, including a TV, at officers both inside and outside the building. At one point, he set a fire inside the apartment, but the building's sprinkler system kept it from spreading. Officers eventually moved in and several opened fire. The man later died at a hospital and his mother suffered only minor injuries. The sheriff's office is now leading the investigation. Gender-affirming care for Rady Children's patients will continue at least for now.
The state had sued the hospital after it announced it would stop providing those services amid threats of federal funding cuts. In court today, the state attorney general and Rady Children's agreed to extend a temporary restraining order protecting access to that care for the next 6 months. The order was also amended, now explicitly covering puberty blocker implants as long as the hospital deems them medically necessary. The next major court date won't be until next January. There is also a separate class action lawsuit filed on behalf of 1,900 Rady Children's patients with different legal claims centered on alleged discrimination.
Our case is about the fact that Rady discriminated against our clients based on their gender, based on disability, based on gender identity, and that is against the law in California. So our case alleges Rady violated California law, which protects our clients from walking into a hospital and being turned away because of who they are.
A judge will hear arguments relating to that second case on July 17th. Also today, another judge is blocking the Justice Department from accessing the medical records of minors seeking transgender medical care.
Prosecutors have been trying to get these records from New York City hospitals seeking medical assessments, diagnoses, and the transgender status of patients. The federal government also tried to get a grand jury subpoena to compel one New York hospital system to supply those documents. But now a judge issued a temporary restraining order against that subpoena, saying the federal government's interest does not outweigh the patient's right to privacy. We are just 1 week away from the start of Governor Newsom's return to office mandate, anticipated to affect some 100,000 state employees.
Starting July 1st, most state workers must work in person at the office at least 4 days a week. News 8 State Matters political reporter Jenny Ha has been closely covering the debate and joins us now with the very latest.
This was already delayed from last year because of the back and forth between state workers and the governor. We talked to state employees, labor unions, the governor, and political insiders. What could be the politics behind this tug of war between Newsom and labor unions?
What's going to be chaotic is the uncertainty of how people respond to it.
The clock is ticking. Governor Newsom's return to office mandate, which requires nearly all state employees to work in person at the office at least 4 days a week, takes effect next Wednesday.
We don't need to be in office for 4 days a week or the whole week to work collaboratively. The running joke, you're going to be going into the office to telework versus just being at home. So
Forrest Hansen, a state scientist with the Department of Water Resources, says the current hybrid format of in-person 3 days a week or so works. Hansen says he, like many others, was hired fully remote with no heads up they would move to in-person. With the RTO mandate, Hansen says workers will have to pay for lunch, parking, and gas.
but the idea that like state workers are responsible to provide profits to downtown business owners in this modern age of telework is just kind of crazy.
That's been Newsom's main point, revitalize downtown.
We got to get these downtowns moving again. Got a sense of community and place.
And in-person interactions.
Be nice to see you again. Nice to see you again. Nice to run into you in the hall.
Yet the pushback from state workers and their unions continues.
It doesn't look good, so the administration is holding firm on the mandate.
SEIU Local 1000 is the largest union of California state workers. President Anika Walls warns of something like a mass exodus and that rather than a one-size-fits-all mandate, telework should be a case-by-case discussion by each department.
There's a lot of baby boomers that are at the tail end of their careers, right? And so I think the term for it is even the silver tsunami.
Do you feel like this telework debate affects Governor Newsom's relationship with labor unions like yourself?
I absolutely think that actions, right, speak louder than words.
2 words, lame duck. There's no more risk for him in terms of challenging the unions and facing lawsuits.
Newsom only has 6 months left in office once the mandate starts.
He's basically dumping it into Javier Becerra's lap or Steve Hilton's.
Meantime, workers say departments are scrambling to find space, equipment, and finalize schedules.
It's incredibly frustrating. I think everyone's super frustrated at it.
I'm going to be curious to see how many actually do go back.
On that last point, the state tells us compliance with the order, meaning in person at least 4 days a week, is required and that noncompliance will be addressed. And depending on the department, employees may be able to choose which days to work in person. Jenny Hutt, News 8.
Thanks, Jenny. Right now, the 2026 Michelin Guide ceremony is underway right here in San Diego.
During this event, the best restaurants in California will earn their Michelin stars. We're still waiting to hear which restaurants are getting the coveted award this year. Entering today, there were 4 restaurants with 1 Michelin star in San Diego County, and 1 restaurant, the Addison, had 3 Michelin stars. That's the highest recognition possible. Our Steffi Roche is down at the ceremony in the Embarcadero, and we'll have highlights from today coming up live at 7. From California to Japan to Venezuela, we're tracking the impact of a few strong earthquakes that hit today.
We will share the latest about what we know on all these earthquakes coming up next.
Plus, a happy update to the mystery of the abandoned Sphinx.
A little less with the mid-level clouds for today. You're seeing that looking out from our mountains where they're more favorable when it came to a slight chance for seeing any wet weather. While we're drying out, but we're also talking about cooler temperatures into the weekend. We'll take a look at your complete forecast coming up.